When rivers dry up, when plants can no longer survive on hot, lifeless plains, when ecological disaster feels inevitable, they arrive to save the world. They being wolves, rabbits, and beavers. Now you're about to hear stories about how animals saved ecosystems across the planet. And, well, let's start with rabbits. And here's a little disclaimer. There are no reliable sources on the internet confirming that this first story is true. Nevertheless, it seems quite truthful. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Welcome to the Dalit Banner Desert in China. Yup, it says desert, so why does it look like a green oasis? Just a few decades ago, this place was a vast, lifeless expanse of sand. Plants couldn't survive here, trees couldn't grow, animals couldn't live. A massive piece of land produced nothing and supported no life. It was sad that such a huge territory brought no benefit at all. So specialists there began searching for ways to bring life to this place. They considered planting trees, artificial irrigation, large-scale greening projects, and other traditional solutions. But all of these ideas seemed inefficient, expensive, or unlikely to succeed. Then, in 1988, one Chinese scientist proposed a radical solution. He suggested releasing rabbits into the desert. The idea was met with curiosity and interest. Soon after, a colony of Rex rabbits, a French breed, was brought to Dalit Banner. These cute little animals adapted surprisingly well to the dry and hot environment and began to settle in. Under these harsh conditions, each rabbit started digging into the ground in search of roots and dry grass. On a massive scale, this digging aerated the soil. Aeration means enriching the soil with oxygen, which is essential for plant growth. And when the rabbits went to the toilet, well, let's put it politely, they enriched the soil with nutrients and undigested seeds. All of this helped revive the desert and slowly turn it into a green valley. But how was this possible, considering that the number of rabbits was limited at first and the desert itself was enormous? The answer is simple. Rabbits reproduce extremely fast. Each rabbit can produce around 40 offspring per year. Over time, the population exceeded 1 million animals. On top of that, there were no dangerous predators in the area to threaten them. They multiplied, worked the soil, and continued doing exactly what nature designed them to do. Scientists were amazed. The results exceeded all expectations. Plant survival rates reached 96%. Farmers around the world learned about the impact rabbits had on the environment. Rabbit farming quickly became a profitable business. Everyone wanted these animals. Farmers began earning tens of thousands of dollars. The economic level of the region rose, and with it, the quality of life for locals. The desert land became fertile enough to grow potatoes. Farmers began producing more than 1,000 tons of potatoes per year. This was good not only for earning money, but also for creating new jobs. Simple rabbits revived the land, turned a desert green, and brought economic growth to the entire region. Now, here's the grain of salt you need to take with this story. There are no reliable sources we've been able to find so far that this 1988 rabbit mission is true. But the following two stories are actual confirmed cases. Our next helpful animal is the beaver. Now we move from China to the United States and to the state of Utah. Rising temperatures cause rivers in this region to dry up. The ecosystem found itself in a dangerous situation because rivers are a vital resource here. Animal life, agriculture, tourism, and access to drinking water all depend on them. Severe drought dried up rivers. Fish populations suffered, and animals that depended on those fish began to struggle. The risk of forest fires increased because of a lack of moisture. One problem followed another, and no one knew how to solve them. Then, in 2019, a group of researchers from Utah State University proposed an unusual solution. They decided to relocate beavers to the Price River. But how could animals that chew trees possibly fix such a serious problem? Well, beavers build dams. Along rivers, these dams create small ponds and wetlands. During droughts, water stored in one place lasts longer. while water stretched along long riverbeds quickly evaporates under the burning sun. Fish and other animals use these ponds as shelters, surviving difficult periods there. After that, when the rainy season returns, rivers recover. Beaver dams help fish populations survive, reduce the risk of forest fires, and improve access to nutrients. Forest animals that feed on fish don't starve, and the whole ecosystem endures droughts more successfully. Now, there's one downside to this method. Not all beavers adapt to a new environment. In the case of the Price River, some of the relocated animals didn't survive. Some faced predators. Some couldn't stand the new weather conditions, but the majority did their job well. Today, the water level in the river is higher. Fish are abundant. Residents are happy that the region attracts tourists. People come to relax on beaches, swim, kayak, and go fishing. All of this prosperity exists thanks to beavers. Now, let's move to the famous Yellowstone National Park, one of the largest nature reserves in the world. In the last century, a single species nearly destroyed its entire ecosystem. When we hear stories like this, we usually imagine swarms of locusts eating every plant in sight or mosquitoes spreading diseases. But to disrupt nature's balance, it doesn't always take a small, fast-breeding creature. Sometimes the cause can be a large animal, like the elk. You see, at one point the elk population in Yellowstone grew rapidly. They began feeding on huge amounts of willows, aspens, poplars, and other trees. Their appetite seemed endless, and as their numbers kept increasing, they were slowly stripping the forest bare. By eating leaves, damaging trunks, and breaking branches, the elk destroyed the natural shelters that birds depended on. Without these trees, many bird species could no longer survive the winter. As bird populations declined, predators that relied on them for food began to struggle as well. Birds also play an important role in controlling insects, so bugs probably started to multiply rapidly. But this still wasn't the most serious problem. The elk changed the region's water temperature. As trees disappeared, beavers lose food for winter, which is willows. So the beaver didn't build enough dams. These dams, along with trees, provided shade that cooled the water. Without them, Yellowstone's rivers began to warm. Cold-blooded fish suffered as water temperatures rose, and without these fish, many animals began to starve. A long and complex ecological chain had been broken because of elks. Something had to be done. But what? Destroying the animals wasn't a real solution. It would only offer temporary relief, and besides, the elk weren't to blame for following their instincts. So scientists turned to a very different answer: wolves. Yep, that's right. In early 1995, people brought 8 wolves to Yellowstone. By 1996, their number had grown to 31. In 2002, 30 wolf pairs were distributed across different parts of the park, and within just 10 years, Yellowstone began to change. The presence of wolves forced elks to move constantly and stay alert. Their population decreased, and their behavior changed. They could no longer linger in one place long enough to destroy entire groves of trees. Vegetation slowly recovered. Willows and aspens grew stronger. Birds returned and rebuilt their nests. Beavers once again had enough wood to build dams. Rivers cooled under their shades. Step by step, the ecosystem healed. Wolves had saved the forest. But wait a minute. Why weren't there wolves already in Yellowstone? Well, the answer is humans. In the 19th century, when Yellowstone was declared a national park, wolves often attacked livestock, and they had a reason. Settlers built ranches nearby and brought large numbers of non-native sheep and cattle into the region. At the same time, they hunted the park's natural herbivores, leaving wolves with little food. Desperate to survive, wolves began attacking ranch animals. At the time, people saw wolves as pests. The solution seemed obvious. For decades, hunters wiped out entire wolf packs. By the mid-1920s, more than 130 wolves were gone, and in 1926, the last pack was eliminated. By the 1970s, there were no signs of wolves left in Yellowstone. And after that, the elk problem appeared. That's why it's so important to treat animals with respect. They aren't just creatures that eat, sleep, and hunt alongside us. It turns out that they are essential parts of the natural web of life. And when even one piece of this system is removed, the entire thing can begin to collapse. Something to think about.
Saudi Arabia wants to host the Asian Winter Games right in the middle of the desert. No more climbing frozen mountains in gear heavier than you are. No icy valleys, just camels, endless sand, and a sun that can fry an egg if you crack it on a metal plate. Let's explore one big and unexpected idea: building a futuristic ski landmark in a place where snow is treated as a big deal. Desert countries have already tried similar things. Dubai built its own ski slope inside a shopping mall almost 20 years ago. You could buy sneakers, grab a snack, and then go skiing without ever stepping outside. It blew people's minds back then, but compared to the project Trojena, it feels tiny. This is not an indoor side attraction. It's part of a roughly $500 billion plan to carve out a winter zone inside a desert region, right in the middle of real mountains. Trojena sits in the northwest corner of Saudi Arabia, in a mountain area with sharp ridges and long, empty stretches of land between them. It is one part of a much bigger strategy called NEOM, a plan to build new cities and resorts across this region. This whole zone is part of a desert belt across the Arabian Peninsula, with towns far apart and long stretches where you mostly see rock, sand, and sky. The climate here is really harsh. Summer days go past 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and by noon, the heat hits you from above and below like you're being baked. Leaving anything metal in direct sunlight is a really bad idea. Winters bring some relief, especially in the higher peaks. Nights can get pretty chilly, and now and then, those peaks pick up a thin layer of snow. It looks nice, but it doesn't stick around. It melts in a day or two before you can even take pictures, let alone think of skiing. Maybe you wonder, but why go through so much trouble just for a ski center? Well, here's the funny part. It's a lot more than just a ski center. The plan is to build an entire winter city, a place with ski runs, hotels, cable cars, housing zones, golf courses, and even a crystal-shaped tower planned to be roughly the same height as the Eiffel Tower. Trojena covers about 23 square miles with about 18.6 miles of ski slopes threading across the mountains. The whole idea is to turn Trojena into a one-of-a-kind attraction that people put on their must-visit list. You ski in the morning, hike in the afternoon, and spend the day by a huge artificial lake. That lake is supposed to be the main attraction of the resort, held in place by 3 giant dams. Building something like that on desert rock is tough. The ground can shift and leak, so everything has to be sealed and reinforced before the lake can even exist. But even if they build the entire complex, there's still a detail they can't ignore. This place doesn't get enough natural snow for any of it to work, not even close. That's why the entire project has to rely on machines or some advanced technology to produce most of the snow. Snow machines help by blowing cold air into the air, where it turns into tiny ice bits that cover the slopes. It works, but the sun in this region warms the ground fast, so the snow can soften or melt unless they constantly top it up. The machines also need a lot of water. Since this area doesn't have natural lakes or rivers, NEOM's plan is to pull in desalinated seawater from the Red Sea coast and push that fresh water through pipes and storage systems across all its zones, including mountain areas. That needs long pipes and strong pumps, plus a steady power supply so nothing shuts down when it gets hot. And even with all that, the air still has to be cool enough for snow to form properly. If it's too warm, the machines can spray all they want, but the snow won't stick. So engineers have to study the slopes and figure out which parts stay cooler and which parts heat up too fast. All of this takes a huge amount of electricity, and Trojena is supposed to get its power from NEOM's renewable energy system, which includes solar, wind, and stored energy. Solar sounds perfect because this region gets sun almost every day. But there is a catch. Panels like light, not extreme heat. When they get too hot, they produce less power, and that could happen right when the snow machines need steady energy the most. So the same sun that makes this place perfect for solar power can also make the panels lazier at the worst possible moment. All of this shows the basic plan, but how to sink everything in unpredictable heat is making engineers work overtime. And that challenge starts with the ground they're building on. Shifting soil or rock can delay progress or force redesigns. Then there's the problem of distance. The site is pretty far from major cities, so hauling materials to Trojena means dragging heavy equipment across miles of empty desert. Even with better roads, moving materials can still drag things down. A project of this size needs a huge workforce, special machinery, and advanced cooling systems, plus constant checks to keep everything running. Even with a massive budget, unexpected issues can pile up, so we have already seen slowdowns in other parts of NEOM. So, Trojena could face the same problems. None of this means the project cannot succeed. It only shows how complicated it is to build something this big in a place that is not naturally made for what they're trying to create. When you put all the pieces together, it becomes clear why Trojena may be one of the most ambitious proposals ever. But what about some other engineering wonders that didn't seem possible at first? The Three Gorges Dam in China is one of those ideas that makes you pause and gasp. It stretches more than 7,500 feet across the Yangtze River and stands taller than the Statue of Liberty. To make it work, engineers moved over 1 million people and flooded entire valleys. When it finally started running, it became the largest hydroelectric power source in the world, sending electricity to millions of homes and helping protect cities downstream from dangerous floods. Another example is the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge. It's one of the biggest sea crossings ever built and the longest sea bridge in the world, stretching almost 35 miles and linking Hong Kong, Zhuhai, and Macau. To build it, engineers had to deal with deep water, heavy ship traffic, storms, and strong currents. They drove huge piles into the seabed, built artificial islands, and even added an underwater tunnel so large ships could pass through. The goal was to allow cars and buses to cross the sea in one trip instead of taking ferries. When Qatar hosted the World Cup, it had to solve a serious heat problem. The summer weather there can make it hard to even stand outside, let alone play soccer. To keep players and fans safe, engineers built a cooling system under the seats, inside the walls, and around the field that pushes cold air across the pitch and lowered the temperature in the whole stadium. Cooling such a huge open space is much harder than cooling a normal building, but they still succeeded in turning this giant hot bowl of air into something closer to an air-conditioned arena. All these accomplished grand plans show that we should not write off Trojena yet. It has a few big things working in its favor. The budget is massive, the authorities are fully behind it, and NEOM is being built to support it with roads, energy, and workers. Whether they finish in time for the Winter Games is still a question, but if they do pull it off, Trojena could end up as one of the most famous tourist spots on the planet.
In July 1990, 4 Czech guys decided to go on an adventure to find the Mongolian death worm, a creature that might have inspired the monster you've seen in the movie Doom. They say it lives somewhere deep in the Gobi Desert, so they flew to Mongolia, hopped into an ATV, and hired some local guides to help them. All that to meet a creature that is up to 6 feet long, can spit acid that could melt anything, and is capable of shooting electricity at those it doesn't like. Legend says that these friendly guys spend most of their days hiding underneath the sandy dunes. but they'd like to come out during the wetter months of June and July. So the timing for a spotting was simply perfect. But the crew needed to figure out how to lure the creature. Sadly for them, no one knew what the giant worm liked to eat. So they built a thumper, which is a machine that made rhythmic pounding noises. They were hoping it would call the worm out of the ground. For 2 months, they searched the vast desert, crossing dunes and rocky plains, looking for any sign of the creature. But alas, it didn't really work out. Ivan McCurley, who was the leader of the 1990 expedition, came back to Gobi Desert again. He once tried to attract the megaworm with blasts, and the second time he used a small airplane to scout the dunes. Over the years, groups from America, Britain, and New Zealand organized big expeditions to the Gobi Desert to try and find the creature. Many others came from all around the world on their own and found nothing. The people in the West first found out about the megaworm of the Gobi Desert thanks to an American paleontologist, Roy Chapman Andrews. This brave man was probably the inspiration for Indiana Jones. In 1926, he wrote about the creature in his book. At a meeting with Mongolian leaders, Andrews heard detailed descriptions of the creature, even though none of them had ever seen it themselves. One of them described it as looking like a sausage, about 2 feet long, with no head or legs. According to him, the worm was so venomous that just touching it could instantly take your life, and it lived in the loneliest parts of the Gobi Desert. Andrews didn't think the creature was real, but he shared these stories again in another book. In May 2005, 4 friends from Great Britain who search for monsters professionally decided to try their luck. They made drawings of the worm and hired local people to hand out flyers all over the Gobi Desert. These flyers offered a reward to anyone who could give information about the worm or even bring them a specimen. They thought loud sounds that other explorers tried would scare the beast away. Some told them it likes damp conditions, so they came up with a plan to block streams of water to create wet areas that would lure the worm out. Their plan didn't work because it was too hard to build dams in the desert. They ended up using small traps, but didn't find any actual proof that the worm existed. But they did meet locals who shared interesting stories about strange creatures they had seen over 70 years. Over the years, stories of the monster spread around the world. In some of them, it's only 1 foot long. In others, it's as large as a human. It's white-gray or scaly and brown, or maybe fleshy and bright red. Someone said it resembled a snake, or maybe a caterpillar, or maybe it has wings and can fly. And some believe it could be a supernatural evil being without a body. Maybe the stories are so different, and the search operations are so fruitless, because the creature doesn't even exist. Or it could be one of many cryptids. Those creatures like Bigfoot, Yeti, the Loch Ness Monster, their existence has yet to be proven. In 1983, one scientist who was visiting the region heard that an old man had managed to catch the mysterious worm. He also learned there was a nest nearby. The scientist bravely approached the hole in the sand and put his hand inside. A giant creature dragged him in, and he was never seen again. Just kidding. He actually found a Tartar sand boa inside. It's a chunky, burrowing, non-venomous snake that has small eyes and gray-brown scales. He showed it to the locals to verify if it was the monster, and supposedly all of them said yes. Most Mongolians who know about the worm still believe it's real. Now, even though people call our supposed monster a worm, it's just what it sounds like in the English translation. Many Mongol cultures have used this word for centuries to refer to any animals they thought to be really dangerous, especially snakes, even non-venomous ones. So, it doesn't have to be a literal worm after all. Worms are soft and squishy, but a creature living in the harsh Gobi Desert would need to be tougher, more like a snake or a type of lizard without legs. Neither of these creatures can shoot electricity or spit acid like they say the death worm does. But some snakes, like cobras, can spit venom that's dangerous for people. If it were real, the creature would have a backbone, and explorers searching for it would likely find some bones or evidence left behind. And there are actually fossil remains all over the Gobi Desert. Scientists found representatives of over 80 dino groups here over the last almost 100 years. It all started with the world's first dinosaur egg nests. This discovery changed all the scientists knew about dinos. It was the first proof they laid eggs. In the following 2 years, the same expedition team unearthed over 100 dinosaurs and took them to the American Museum of Natural History, where you can still see them today. Some of them were swimming around in the Cretaceous Sea that used to be here about 71 million years ago. They resembled modern birds. The mystery of the megaworm is still unsolved, but there used to be another mystery scientists finally managed to explain. Back in the 13th century, a famous traveler, Marco Polo, not the guy from the swimming pool game, crossed the Gobi Desert. He thought he could hear mysterious noises, like the sounds of musical instruments such as drums. He wrote about it in his book and believed he might be hearing the voices of restless spirits. Scientists call these noises singing sands or booming sands. Unlike the squeaky sound you might hear when walking on a sandy beach, these desert sounds are much louder, like a musical instrument playing deep, haunting notes. Over the years, people came up with all kinds of ideas about what caused the sounds, like underground water or winds making the sand vibrate. Not all dunes can do this, and scientists wanted to figure out why. Sometimes the winds might cause a small avalanche on the side of a dune, and then you can hear the magical sound start. But this is rare. So, to study it, scientists had to help the dunes sing. They climbed to the top of a dune and slid down on their backs, using their hands and feet to push sand down. As the sand tumbled, the sound started softly and got louder. They could even feel the vibrations with their hands. So they found out that for a dune to sing, a few special things need to happen. The grains of sand must be the right shape. The dune has to be big, and the sand must be very dry, so no singing after it rains. Inside the dune, there's a hard layer of packed sand that acts like a giant speaker. This layer bounces the sound waves back and forth, makes the noise louder and louder, and creates a haunting melody that can fill the desert air. In other words, the dunes can play tunes. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't help myself with that one.
Endless hot deserts seem lifeless at first glance. But among these sands, you can meet dangerous and sometimes creepy creatures. Some of them can only cause health problems, but some can stay in your memory forever. Let's get to know them, starting with dangerous ones and finishing with real nightmares. So, you're walking through a desert and see a big teddy bear with open hands. You understand that it's probably a mirage, but still, you come closer. You were right. It's not a plush toy, but a giant cactus. There's something strange about it. Thanks to some strange fluff, the branches resemble the arms of a teddy bear. However, this is not fluff, but thousands of thin needles, and they are the reason you shouldn't come closer. The cactus is called the jumping cholla, or teddy bear cholla. It grows in the desert areas of Arizona and in the northern part of Mexico. Don't worry, this cactus won't attack you, but it will cling to your skin or clothes if you touch it. Such a fur coat protects the cactus from animals, creates shade, and saves it from heat. The lateral branches are the most important parts of the plant as they carry out photosynthesis and accumulate a large amount of moisture inside. So, despite all the danger, the cactus can be helpful for desert wanderers. And the danger here is needles. If you look closer at them, you will see they have the shape of hooks. One touch, and hundreds of thorns are already in your finger. It's pretty difficult to get rid of them, and the needles cause unpleasant, painful sensations. But the coolest thing about this cactus is the way it reproduces. The plant clones itself in a new place. When animals and people pass the jumping cholla and touch it, the cactus gives them a small piece of itself, along with the needles. As soon as you throw this piece to the ground, it takes root and starts growing. The degree of danger is rising. The next monster from the desert is running toward us, and that is an ostrich. Many think these animals are cowards hiding their heads in the sand. You will most likely change your mind if you're unlucky enough to meet one. Usually, ostriches are not aggressive, but you should run if you come closer to their nest. On the other hand, you won't be able to do that because ostriches move at a speed of 43 miles per hour. You need a car to get away from them. They run and hit their enemy with their chests. There have been cases when ostriches attacked vans and caused significant damage to them. But the main danger these birds present is their powerful legs with sharp claws. They can deliver strong blows with them and even beat a prone opponent. So yes, if you see an ostrich in the distance, go the other way. This small spotted lizard lives underground almost all the time in the arid deserts of the southwestern US and northwestern Mexico. Sometimes it goes outside to find lunch. It only seems cute, but in fact, it's a dangerous Gila monster. Its thick skin protects the reptile from hawks, coyotes, and other predators. But its main protection is its venom. Snakes and spiders inject their toxins using long, needle-like fangs. The Gila monster clamps down and chews the prey to spread the venom. And when it bites a person, it can keep its jaws closed for a long time. Getting rid of the animal is a tricky feat. People who have experienced the effects of the venom say it feels as if hot magma passes through the veins. Despite this, the lizard turned out to be useful for science. Doctors used its venom to create medicines for diabetes and obesity. The time has come. Now you're about to meet one of the creepiest creatures living in the desert. Be quiet and listen to the silence. Stand still. There's no one around. Suddenly, you hear some hissing coming from below. You lower your head and see it. A big yellow spider the size of a human palm with strong jaws and long legs hides in the shadow of your body. In horror, you run away from this monster, but it goes after you. It isn't easy to do it in this situation, but try to calm down. The creature isn't interested in you. It wants only your shadow to hide from the scorching sun. Anyway, it's better not to touch it. The powerful jaws of the camel spider can cause unpleasant sensations, to put it mildly. And, by the way, this creature isn't really a spider. Yeah, it belongs to the class of arachnids, but it's a separate species, Sulpicid. It likes to bite. It's fearless and pretty aggressive. The spider preys on insects, lizards, rodents, and small birds. It can also move at a speed of 10 miles per hour. For their small size, this is very fast. You need to be a professional athlete to run away from it. Most often, you can find camel spiders in the deserts of the Middle East, but they also live in Mexico and the southwestern US. These runners are nocturnal and try to avoid the sun during the day, so they are always hunting your shadow. By the way, they got their name because they often hide in the shadows of camels. You won't hide from them during the day, but they will also want to come after you at night, especially if you make a fire. Sulpugids always run to the light in the hope of eating something. Some species of these spiders make a hissing sound to scare their enemies away. Now, let's calm down for a second and leave the hot desert. We're going into the humid tropics of Tanzania. Under tree bark, fallen leaves, and in dark caves, you can meet one of the most terrifying creatures on Earth, a tailless whip scorpion. Imagine a big scorpion without a tail, with a flat body that looks like it has been pressed by something. It's similar to spiders, but has no venom glands and can't spin a web. This monster is silent and fast, but the scariest thing is its 2 front claws, twice as long as the creature itself. Any prey it catches will never escape. Life in a dark cave has spoiled its eyesight, so the whip scorpion tries to avoid sunlight. During molting, it climbs up to the ceiling and slowly comes out of its old skin. Imagine directing your flashlight there and seeing small cocoons out of which pale spiders with excessively long legs crawl. If you really meet it, be calm and slowly go away as far as possible. Be careful. The flat scorpion can crawl under your clothes in a second and bite you in the stomach. And that's not the worst part. Okay, this is a joke. This pretty guy is one of the shyest and most harmless creatures among spiders and scorpions. It's afraid of you and will never attack. Many consider it beautiful and keep whip scorpions in glass terrariums. If you want such a pet, carefully watch it so that it doesn't run away from its house. If it happens, it will be pretty challenging to catch it again. In a matter of moments, it can get under your bed or go through gaps in the floor. Then it'll go to your neighbor's apartment through a ventilation system and scare people there. Okay, how about one more scorpion? It's not as creepy as the other creatures in this video, but it's the most venomous scorpion in the USA. This is the Arizona bark scorpion. The problem is that you can see it in the desert, in your home, or in the yard. These dangerous venomous beasts crawl into rooms and often sting people. One time is enough to cause pain, similar to a bee sting, but someone with an allergy may experience paralysis, breathing problems, and other health issues.